Hello, it's Harmon. This is Communitary
I told you,
on Yahoo.
You consider me a competitor because of my natural stealth and ambivalence.
Uh-oh, did she get high again? Forget she doesn't wear contacts?
Before Britta moved her cats into our apartment, she wanted to introduce them to us on neutral ground. One of them scratched Abed and ran under the couch.
I'll get it. Cats love me.
Boy, I have nothing to say about this. This I remember this being very difficult in the edit bay, like figuring out just the right tone for
He or she?
He.
Well, he's really got his teeth in my flesh right now. Okay, he's touching bone.
We finally found the version that I wanted, but there was a lot of on set, like they gave me a lot of options. Like sometimes he's feeling the pain a little bit.
Guess he's done.
It was also difficult to what do you do there? Are we supposed to, should we see blood? Is that, because that storyline is just based on the real life experience we had while working on season 5. When Chris McKenna was helping his wife move and was in charge of getting the cats that hate him out from under the bed, and one of his cats bit him on his hand, right in that spot, and his hand swelled up throughout the day. He came, Chris, go to the hospital. His hand looked like the guy in Big Trouble in Little China before he explodes, the air guy.
She said through a huge.
It was incredible. So we just thought, well, write what you know because you're lazy.
The last people I saw using it were in the honeycomb hideout.
We mock what we don't understand.
We also mock what's silly.
Jeffrey. Abed, you're more machine than man. You want to give me a hand setting up the equipment after lunch?
We're all gonna help Britta move into our place today.
Jeffrey?
Britta, something's come up. I'd love to.
Oh. Yeah. At least you don't have to bust out your usual excuse.
You don't know for sure that I'm not a veteran, and nobody can say for sure that today isn't Veterans Day.
Hi, I got bit by a cat.
Ching, we know.
Why are you guys in all these books in the nurse's office?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a good cold open? I don't know.
Dean, where did you get this, and for how much of money?
So this story is, I don't know, it's just something we wanted to do. I can't remember why. Why did we want to do virtual reality? I have no idea.
$5,000.
What?
I guess for all the reasons that are cited in the episode. I always thought it was kind of funny that we went through this big virtual reality phase in the 90s. We all were talking about it in the writers' room and watching clips of Disclosure with Michael Douglas logging in with his magic glove.
When entering virtual reality, you should calibrate the system by looking at your own hand.
The big question was, how do you introduce a second new character in the second of 13 paltry episodes? You're bringing in 2 new characters. Are we really gonna focus 20% of the series of the season's run on introducing them when we already spent half of season 5 saying goodbye to Donald? So it's how do you gracefully get in here? So we figured, well, Frankie's story fits in well with the first episode, but we got to make very quick, graceful work of introducing Keith David's character. So it was pretty inorganic, just brute force thinking. And we just said, well, let's figure out a way that he's in the VR episode, our story. And I guess he's the guy that invented the VR system. And when Jeff needs to go get the money back, he's that guy. It's just sort of very, very mathematical thinking. We figured in the end, it doesn't really matter why Keith David is coming to Greendale, where he came from. What matters is that he gets on the screen and that you get him seated at that table fast.
Thank you guys again.
There was a lot of back and forth about having gotten Keith David to be at Greendale, which we accomplished at the end of this episode, do we then have to put any more energy into why he becomes a member of the study group? And my philosophy was always absolutely not. It's not even a study group anymore. It stopped making sense why people are sitting at that table a long time ago. I don't think that's what people care about. I think once they are sitting there, if you give even the thinnest justification, like maybe they're interested in helping save Greendale, it doesn't matter anymore. TV, that's not the spot where TV needs to work hard. TV needs to work hard to make you emotionally connect to people because you're staring at a plate of glass.
Roommate movie night!
Portuguese Gremlins was just a thing that got mentioned in the writers' room early on. I have no idea. I honestly think it was just pitched as something that Abed would be into. I mean, there was a point where there was a whole story about how Abed, I think one of the story ideas was Abed finds out that the real Gremlins movie was actually a ripoff of Portuguese Gremlins.
Setting the time, it's 20 minutes later now.
The power. The facility. Jesus wept!
Stop saying Jesus wept.
Dean, here's something fun you might want to try. Let's see if we can find the serial number to this system.
And can you imagine any other actor than Paget, like, being able to be dropped unceremoniously into this show like this, where she's like, all of a sudden she's just in charge and holding her own, and I don't know. I've made so many bad choices throughout the run of this show, and so I'm so proud of our casting of Paget and Keith.
You're looking for one called Purchase Info.
The process of putting this VR stuff together was so arduous. You would not believe how difficult it gets when you want to put some animation into your sitcom. It's this the engine that exists to assemble a sitcom. When you try to use it to do other stuff, it's just the interfaces that have to be invented. And Jake Ost, our supervisor, our post supervisor, he, thank God, is a 6-year veteran of the show. So, but even then, it's like he always has to like figure out new ways to facilitate the assembly of this stuff because.
Keep it!
Dear God.
I'm sure you've seen other sitcoms like where they take a little flight of fancy and all of a sudden you're looking at the sitcom characters animated or something like that, and it's always like 8 seconds or a minute, and it's always like really weird and like off-putting because it's stylistically off, and you can see what they were going for, and you just meet them halfway and let it go, and it's not their fault. It's really the resistance that you meet and the amount of time you have to put into explaining to so many different people. Like we just want it to look like this thing in my head. It's not energy and time that you can afford to take away from the assembly of just a regular old sitcom.
So, are the Gremlins supposed to be the good guys in this version?
The blue ones are. The green ones are bad, and the red ones are kind of like isolationists. It's a metaphor for World War II.
I will be right back. I left something in my car. Hi, yes, I picked up a sofa from your store recently. The last name is Perry. Mm-hmm.
What?
Are you strong or angry?
My parents?
We had lost the opportunity to meet Jeff's parents, which, he met it. There was always this big buildup of Jeff's dad was going to come into the picture.
Yeah, that's why they talked to us.
And then
We wouldn't let let them help you, at least not directly.
I kind of cliffhanged on that at the end of season 3, and then season 4, we met his dad, and so that was done.
That's why we were able to get you such a
They're supplementing my rent too.
One of the bad things about working with characters forever is you really get to know them, and it really becomes a challenge to come up with story ideas. But one of the great things is you know them so well that the idea of these are her parents is actually high concept, because we know her and we know that this is a big deal. If we don't, if you're a first-time viewer and you're watching her meet her parents, it's charged with this energy anyway. You're actually benefiting from 6 seasons of Britta, even if you're wandering into an episode where she meets her parents. It stands alone.
I will create more worlds.
Those trees with the sunglasses on them, I thought were a great touch. That's something that Schrab did.
I found an address. Elroy Potashnik, founder of Virtue Good Technologies.
All right, I'll go see if I can get the school's money back. You keep white Morpheus inside the Matrix.
We really wanted Schrab. I kind of moved heaven and earth to make sure I could get Schrab to be the quote-unquote in-house director for this season. We weren't going to get Tristram Shapiro back. He served in that capacity for seasons, boy, am I going to get this right? Seasons 4 and 5. I mean, he was a regular director season 3, and then he was brought on board like in an in-house capacity for season 4, and then for season 5 he directed a lot of the episodes. But we lost Tristram. Greener pastures for him. I think he went to go do the Tina Fey thing, and so we needed that new guy, that new person that
Was it generosity? Whimsical
so that you're not just having a substitute teacher every single week coming in and going, how do I do my episode? And you want to have that director that is there all the time. He's either prepping an episode or he's shooting one, and that became Schrab, and that was a great reward, because I've had falling outs with Schrab in the past, or a falling out, like after the Sarah Silverman program. There was a year where we didn't talk to each other because our paths split there, and then we hadn't worked together in this intense capacity for a really long time. And to have him come back and help me make a great season was just a great epilogue to a lifelong story of often unacknowledged friendship. He's a genius and hard worker. Takes everything he does really seriously. We speak the same language. But it should probably be noted that I'm singing all of Schrab's praises during this episode that he didn't actually direct. I think Jim and Nat directed this one, right? I remember because we were worried about Jim having to direct himself, quote unquote, for his VR sequences.
Throw them into the side of a mountain.
Worlds within worlds.
That doesn't mean anything. I can copy a file by holding my finger down on a phone.
Oh, so can a monkey. Now, you're describing a system for animals.
So let's talk about this guy. This Juilliard-trained...
I designed a system for gods.
Oh, come on.
God.
You know what you've done. You know how lame...
Every single syllable that comes out of his mouth has $500,000 of production value on it, but you get him for the price of a human being. I mean, when you hear that voice, partly because it's a great voice, but also because you've heard it before, and it's like, and every time you hear it, you're like, that's that voice. Like, I think that's incredible. In this scene that you just watched, I mean, there's if you back it up and watch it, I mean, he accomplishes so much with his face as well. Like I'm not saying like he's like he knows who the character is and he's immersed or anything like that. I just mean like as a craftsman and just like his technical expertise at conveying humanity through a piece of glass to an audience. Like it was unparalleled, real like reward to finally be able to write for that actor. Speaking of Martin Mull and Leslie Ann Warren, who met on the set of Clue, we cast Martin as Britta's dad, and he suggested Leslie. Like, oh yeah, we were great together on Clue. You should bring Leslie in. And you know, that's not usually the way you find a perfect mother, but boy, he was right. These two are fantastic together. You know, it started as jokes, but ended in an actual meeting where Chris and I were talking to Martin and Leslie just recently about, you know, this could be a spin-off, these two. They're just like the quintessential baby boomer parents, for my money. I mean, the good things and the bad things about them. They're, you know, Britta's frustrations with them are simultaneously founded and unfounded. And I've seen threads of conversation from people who really strongly responded to the semi-meta insinuation that Britta was a victim of abuse in childhood, that were a little put off by the idea that now she's meeting these parents and that they could actually be likable and that they don't get punished for their crimes and stuff. And you know, my response to that is that they're not being rewarded either, and they're not. Britta does not end this episode saying high five for my parents. Like, it sucks. You know, Britta is an abused person. She continues to be abused by the world, and she's a Charlie Brown figure, and she can't get a break. And when she tries to give herself a break, she screws that up too. And that's how you connect to Britta, is through your self-pity, your pity for others, as her raw like emotion. It's a great season for a character that I'm really, really proud of. Like, especially considering like the two-dimensionality that she was cast from. Not cast like casting, like cast like iron. I mean, she was like two-dimensional mold that this great actor was poured into, and that she exploded out of through the help of great writers like Hillary Winston in season 1. She very quickly became not this generic, esoteric carrot for the male protagonist, and started becoming like this weird mixture of rodeo clown and unappreciated hero and Charlie Brown, and like, I just really love that character. And yeah, there's not enough Annie this season. There's 13 episodes and there's 2 new characters coming in, and I'm really happy that if we don't do this show ever again, that I got a chance to hail Britta as the centerpiece that she always should have been.
Oh my God! I put a tilde on this N. I can do anything.
Any luck? I'm going home. Oh, and to warn you, he joked about wanting a pea jar earlier, and it's gradually becoming less of a joke.
Hey, Dean, I'm coming over, and I'm pulling you out of there.
I'll bite you.
I'll beat you up.
I'll like it, and then I'll fire you, and then I'll get right back in it.
Well, still get to beat you up.
Hold it.
Who is that? I recognize that baritone voice and the scent of Tic Tacs with the tinge of Naugahyde.
It's Elroy Potashnik.
The architect.
Listen, I've come to tell you something very important about this system.
Can you hear that? Did you hear that? That was my stomach. It sounded like a dolphin.
I wasted your time with it in 10 crucial...
No, keep it in there. It's very Led Zeppelin of us.
I don't want a refund.
Keep the airplane in.
Stay in here forever. And you can't stop me. Die!
In Jim and Nat's original cut, this shot is 10 minutes long because Jim like shoots him with lasers for like a really long time and then runs and hides, and it's all one shot. And it was for real like 6 minutes or something like that.
To use a phrase I coined in the 90s, I'm going in.
You coined that.
Oh, yeah. Lock and load. That's mine, too. All right.
There was your music. Did you hear that music? You people that are always saying, where's the music?
Oh my God! I'm so sorry. What are you doing in my car?
I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Nowhere else about my car?
One of the things we really wanted to do at the top of season 6, in addition to bringing the cinematic lighting back, was, hey, let's get outside.
On, Britta.
You know that something's gotten extreme when hardcore fans who are the most immersed in the reality of Greendale are tweeting me and noticing that we haven't been outdoors in a year. Because those are the people that you'd think would be the, that they'd just be like, well, I didn't notice because I'm totally immersed. So if they're noticing something that's just sort of like, yeah, I'm starting to feel a little claustrophobic, like I don't know that the outdoors exists anymore, then you're like, okay. Going outside is a difficult thing when you're making TV, just as animation is. It's a you gotta move all your crap out there, as you might imagine. There is always a plane going over, and there's a reason why LA is made up of these giant lots full of these giant soundproof buildings that we made, because the amount of money and labor that is lost to car horns, dogs, air conditioners, and passing airplanes is tangible. So long ago, our forebears sealed everything up in these soundproof buildings and mastered the art of making the indoors feel big enough. But you still need that little dose of it, like a vitamin. So we moved to the CBS Radford lot, which is a lot more compatible with pretending we're outside. There's a lot of palm trees at Paramount. You were always seeing them. Everything looked like Paramount. Everything really looked like a lot. You were like, that over Jeff's shoulder at the job fair is where Jerry Lewis did that one scene. Radford's a little different. Radford looks like it could be a community college campus. That Eric Clapton thing has been a running joke with me and Schrab for 20 years. We used to end improv scenes doing that. I think it was really a Schrab thing. I just always thought that song was so funny because that's how that song begins. It doesn't sound like that's how you should begin a song. That song just drops on your head like a sandbag in the middle of a refrain. It's in the way that she is. It's just always been really funny to me in Schrab, and even though it's not a reference to anything. I mean, it was used in the movie The Color of Money, but it's never been used as a scene closer with a freeze frame and credits. But Schrab and I have always used it that way, doing improv scenes and just joking around. It's just like it's worn into our brains now.
Fighting our family's tendency toward obesity as we slide into oblivion. First you guys, and then me quickly thereafter.
Well, I'll drink to that.
Hi, Mom. Benjamin!
I got bit by a cat, Deb.
No!
I mean, that's for real. That's what McKenna's hand looked like. Well, that's how big it was.
The refund, Elroy.
No, thank you. For one last taste of what it was like when my work was valuable.
Oh, it's still valuable. Here, $500 for the taste I got of being powerful.
Dean, the school can afford $500.
Wait for it.
I have no idea what to do with the rest of my life now.
We offer a wide variety of classes. And that, my friend, is the Greendale effect.
I'll never get out of here, will I?
I haven't met many that do.
This is right outside our main stage, or actually, it's technically see that where that railing was. If you go down there, that's where our stage is. They were actually right outside Parks and Rec stage. I improvised this VO into my phone and uploaded it in the edit bay, and then it just got sent to Jim when he did ADR. It's just first take, best take. I just wrote it by just talking. sometimes you don't know how to end your episode or why the stories were thematically connected, and that's when you pull a Scrubs. This was like this thing Schrab was doing on the side. Obviously, it's amazing.
Che è esto?
Una grande responsabilità.
When Schrab does something like this, you don't really, like, he just makes it, and then he just hands it to you. And then, actually, the post department has to, like, take his final cut file and, like, pick it apart and, like, recreate it in the Avid, because ultimately Rob just works best, like, as a one-man band. He works fine with others, but it's just like, if you want something amazing, whenever TV production is telling me this can't be done or this is going to be too expensive, Schrab and I know that they don't know they're lying, but they're lying. You can do anything. And so Schrab really just did this, and he got feedback from us, helped him like tighten the timing just a little bit, but this is really just what he made and handed to me and McKenna. He didn't tell us what the hell he was doing. Thank you for joining me for Communitary. Sorry I often don't talk about whatever's on screen. If you want your money back, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to my ass. What are you complaining about? It's free. You should thank God Yahoo was born. They're giving you all this stuff. They love you. Do you have any idea how much money they spend on this show? Did you get any? Bye. I love you.